and welcome to another episode of Chattin with Chavez. In today's episode, we're going to go over healing, connection, community, self-love, a couple of different things in between, and maybe some silliness if we can afford it, if the economy affords us a touch of silliness. Guys, last week I went over quite a few items, went over some of my past, went over some of my life, let you guys know a little bit about me, and kind of just where I come from. It's important that you get my background and a solid understanding of who I am, so that when we start to gain traction here, the understanding of where I come from makes more sense as to who I am today. Today's segment is the shadows and the light. We're going to be going through those healing connections and choices that have made us make decisions that weren't so savory, that gave us unsavory outcomes. And then we're going to talk about the decisions that we make that are better for us, that can give us unsurmountable, amazing outcomes in the future. So I want to start off with a truth that's one of those pills, man. It's just hard to swallow. Guys, our actions have consequences. And what we do throughout our day-to-day life, it impacts us in ways that we might not even be able to see in that particular moment. A lot of what we're experiencing on the day-to-day and the things that we're doing have a ripple effect, and they affect people down the way that you might not even understand when you're making the actions that you are. And a lot of times our actions have a direct line of effect to someone or something that we're in control of, or we're trying to gain control of, or we're feeling like we've lost control of. Whatever the case may be, we start to really kind of focus on those things once we make those decisions. So all or nothing thinking, and this idea that once a decision's made, you got to barrel in on it, and you can't back out, and you can't step down because you want to save face, but you don't know how to save face. This is an idea, this is like a cycle we put ourselves in where we feel like we need to compensate for this space that we failed in. When in reality, if we just back away and we own our failure, and we understand that we can learn from each failure on how not to fail that way next time, it gives us a rare opportunity to proceed forward. Not everybody's going to get that chance. Not everybody's going to see these things or hear these words or understand these conversations in a way that applies to them. So my goal, I guess, is to be as broad form as possible so that each and every person that watches this podcast has the ability to apply certain things where it might apply. I don't want to say everything that I'm going to say is going to apply to your life all the time, because clearly it's not. There's not going to be certain things that I relate to that you relate to. But there's pieces and parts of what I'm going to say and the things that I decide to say along the way that have value in ways that you might not even understand at this particular moment. Maybe you'll tap back into something I said in a situation down the road, and you'll go, maybe I have an alternate idea on how to handle these things. So that's a large portion of the goal there. Now, with our actions having consequences, it's important to understand that the things that we do in the darkness are always going to come to light. This is a huge theme this year. Whether it's in media, whether it's in politics, whether it's in your regular everyday life with your friends, your family, it's touching every facet of society right now, and dark things are coming to light day by day. If you're making decisions in the background and you think you're not going to get called out for them, or someone's not going to find out about it, just do your best in that moment to think again. Society has increasingly become more and more, I want to say, investigative. We've reached a point where now everybody's Sherlock Holmes, and they're like a dog with a bone the moment information drops, or the moment they think they can get an edge. Think, contemplate before you say things out to the world. Our words have impact. Our actions have impact, and those dark things that happen that you think you're not going to get noticed for, eventually someone's going to see it. And you're going to get held accountable, because that's the way life works. We can't skate through our lives making decisions, hurting people, harming those around us, and then expecting zero recourse. It's going to happen. Whether you believe in karma, whether you believe in some alternate being or some force that is going to provide that justice, or maybe you don't believe it. But if you take a good scale of your life and you understand that the things that are happening to you are a direct reflection of the things that you've done, you start to really analyze the things that you plan to do. Because each step we make towards the future is ingrained in our ideas about the world at that particular moment. If we choose to take in new information and surround ourselves not just with people that agree with us, but sprinkle in people that actually choose to disagree with you, and I'm not saying the combative people, I'm not talking about energy sucks, the people that show up and just suck your energy like a freaking dementor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about keeping people in your life that are willing to challenge the ideas that you come up with, and have reasonable fact-based conversations that mean something and come to a reasonable end, so that both people can reciprocate the feeling of coming out feeling like they actually got something out of it. Substance in conversation, substance in action, substance in being. Our actions create us, and they make us into who we are. I made shitty choices as a 16-year-old youth. I ended up in jail for 2.5 years. And in that process, I learned that I was the only one accountable for my actions. I couldn't blame other people. I couldn't tell other people, oh, I'm in here because of so-and-so. I was in that situation, and it was a direct reflection of my actions that had led me to that point. So is it with each and every one of you in each and every situation you land yourself in. If it's negative, you did it. If it's positive, you did it. You are in control. Hey, we got a kitty. You are in control of your future by each and every action you make day by day. So be cautious. Be cautious and be thoughtful about the decisions you make, because they might just sway the version of how you see your life in the years to come. Now, I really do want to get into kind of breaking the cycle of this hurtful path. And instead of pointing fingers, I want to focus on what we can do to create a supportive community, because we've all struggled with our own demons. We've all hurt other people because we were dealing with someone or something, and hurt people. This is a phrase that most people know, but if you don't, please commit it to memory and understand that when you're in pain, sometimes the people closest to you, you feel the most distant with, and a lot of times that's why you find that you yell at those people, because you feel like emotionally you're so distant, and you feel like yelling is going to close that gap. And you feel like the anger and the aggression is going to be the thing that brings that back. But because of the fact that you guys are so distant emotionally, that's what's causing the grief. So we have to close that gap, and we have to understand that this open line of communication gives us that ability to start reshaping and reforming exactly how we want those relationships to end up for ourselves. Now, when we use those things to cope, and we hurt other people with our pain, it just perpetuates this cycle of hurt. It perpetuates this endless circle of I hurt you, you hurt me, we hurt they, I hurt you, you hurt me, we hurt they. And it's this, it's never ending. It's like a snake eating its tail. Somewhere along the line, one of us has to stand up and break the cycle. We have to be willing to want something else, right? That's the goal. I think that's the goal. Maybe, like I'll say it a million times, maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. You know, I think that if we support each other and we start to open up our minds to try to understand people more instead of judging them and putting them in this box based on who you see them as. It's time to start listening to people, hearing people. What do you really have to say? What's in there that isn't just this surface level bullshit that everyone gets to hear when you're in passing? What are you dealing with? How did you overcome some struggle recently that you've been really dealing with that's really important to you? What goals have you accomplished recently? It's time to start lifting people up. Everybody wants to have the conversations about the pain and the hurt and so wronged me. Those are easy conversations, man. Those are the easy ones. You guys want to keep having easy conversations, you might not want to even tune in for the rest of these. Because I'm not into it. I don't like the easy conversations because those are the ones that everyone's having. Everyone's having the easy conversations because that's is it trendy? I don't know if it's trendy to have an easy conversation. I feel like it's doing us a disservice to not have any real conversations, no mindful conversations. Now, I think the strategies for breaking this cycle definitely come with a lot of empathy. And we're going to have to start putting ourselves in other people's shoes so that we can understand the situation they come from. And that takes listening, man. We got to hear people. So how do you empathize with people you're not listening to? You don't. You can't. So we have to sit and we have to put ourselves aside sometimes. And we have to listen to other people so that we can potentially help them. Some people are on the fringe. You have no idea how close they just might be. And your words might be the words that help them to take another day on, to take on just another 20 minutes, whatever the case may be. We have the power of altering someone's day with our words. A kind word, a compliment on an outfit, a compliment on hair, or whatever the thing is that you find in a person that deserves that compliment. Find it. And I implore you, start chucking random compliments at people and see how they react. Watch their eyes light up. Watch the people that you give that attention to completely change the structure of their face. And sometimes you're going to run into the crotchety old people or the younger people that don't want to deal with your bullshit or your peppy attitude. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that people really do appreciate you paying attention. And that's really all it takes. Just paying attention. Saying something. And a nice word goes a long way, man. It changes somebody's day. I say if you're at a crossroads, go ahead and ask yourself, am I contributing to the light in my life, or am I just holding space for this negativity? At what point do we say we're enabling the people in our lives by continuing to hold space for only negative things? We have an endless stream of information coming at us all the time. It's it's not good. I'm not air dicking out here. I don't want to do it. It's endless. And whether it be negative, positive, or whatever in between, we are experiencing it whether we like it or not. Through our phones, through the computers, through TV, radio. It's forced upon us 100% of the time, all the time. Guys, we choose to be happy. We choose to wake up and be happy. And you are blessed that you just get to wake up at all. The fact that you're sitting here watching this right now is a blessing because you're still alive and you still have a shot. You still have a chance to do something incredible with yourself. And whether you see it right now or not, your options are literally endless. They're endless, they're limitless, whatever word you want to give to it. I'll stutter through 5 of them. They're endless, and you can't limit yourself based off of this condensed idea that you have that someone else has given to you about you. I think a lot of what holds us back is an idea we clung to as children about our self-worth, about what we deserve, and our experiences and what's happened to us throughout that time period of growing into who we are and shaping who we are at this age. It's affected that. And that's common. It's understandable. It's exactly what happens because we are a product of our environment, and we do what we do because of the area we grow up in and what they do, and we want to fit in. And there's all these variables of the human psyche that create us either delving into the darkness on a constant basis or just perpetually searching for the light. I choose to be a perpetual light seeker. Some call it toxic positivity. I call it giving a fuck. I call it caring about people. I want you to be happy in your you. And if I can help you do that by giving you some kind of confidence or some kind of words or advice or idea that you might not have thought of before, then I feel like I'm accomplishing my goal in my humanity. Any single thread of positive energy you can get from these podcasts is a win for me. It's a win for me because it's a win for you, and that's huge. I'm doing this podcast because I want people to understand that you can take a chance, and whether you suck at it, you're good at it, you might be mid at it, whatever your area of expertise is, it doesn't matter. Go do it, sit down, make something happen, because you can either choose to play it safe or you can choose to take chances. But just understand that the same thing happens for both. If you fail taking the safe route, you still failed. And if you failed taking the chance, you still failed. But the difference sits in the fact that you actually tried. Who cares if you fail? Who gives a shit if you fail? Keep failing so that you know over and over and over and over again how not to do that. How to never do it again that way. And keep pushing. I started making music a year ago. I just listened to the first song I ever made. It was absolute trash. Garbage. Dog water. Hot dog water. Ugh. Now I'm listening to the stuff that I'm creating. Is it exponentially better? Absolutely not. But from the stage I started at to the stage I'm at now, I am proud of my progression. You have to start somewhere. You have to lay the groundwork. Otherwise, you can't build the house. The foundation must be laid so that you can start to build on top of it, and you can start to create a legacy for yourself and a legacy for the people in your life that actually matter to you. You too can heal the people around you by simply giving them space, understanding, and a platform for them to just express themselves. And a lot of times that's really all it takes. Here it is. I trail off. You know it. This is exactly what I do. I trail off a lot. So just be prepared. I will rope back here. Now, I really, really, really think it's important that we celebrate people that are bringing positivity and good to this world. And I'm talking about local, and I'm talking about at grand scales as well. We have a lot of negativity and bad things happening all over the planet right now, whether it be the hurricane Milton that's moving in on Florida right now, whether it be civil unrest, whether it be whoever's idea on whatever topics when it comes to people coming into the country or leaving. I mean, just society as a whole right now, it seems like it's really teetering on a tipping point. And it's important that we start seeing the good in things and focusing on the good in things so that we can bring it back to that and not just let this overload of information from other people and other people's lives dictate how we feel about our day-to-day. Because I'll tell you this from personal experience. I've never one time had to deal with going to war. I would never in a million years even claim to understand not only the intestinal fortitude, but the strength, courage, and just sheer inability to give up. That alone to me is incredible. The men and women that have chosen to go into that profession, off the wall incredible, and I could never say anything bad against people that choose to dedicate their lives to something that they find the most value in, which is freedom for a country that they are willing to wake up every day and die for. That's incredible. I think that it's also incredible that we have small business owners that, regardless of whether or not the large, big companies want to snuff them out, they refuse to give up. They refuse to let down the standard of what should be and what we should be operating in. And that's business to business, business to consumer, not corporation to business to consumer, not corporation to corporation slush fund to the, it's just this chaos. Local business owners of all regions should be celebrated daily. The people that are bringing art to your city, the people that put together the art fairs, the people that put together the music, the people that put together the shows and the festivals that you go to. All of these people deserve a high five, a handshake, a hug, something when you see them next. Go out of your way to give somebody some love because they're paving the way for you to be able to have a safe space to express that positivity. We don't have to focus on the world's negative things. It's going to happen whether we are involved in it or not. I cannot control what the government is going to do, but what I can control is what happens in my immediate life. I can control how I wake up and feel about myself. I can control what I do with my day to further myself, and I can control whether or not I choose to feel a certain way. I can do that. And I hope that in the process of this podcast, you find out how to do that too, because I find it extremely important for us to find out not only what our emotions are and why we have them, but to get a really good grip on how to start handling them better and then putting ourselves into other people's shoes so that when we have those conversations, that empathy is there and we can start to actually understand each other instead of just bounce things off of each other and maybe not even hear what other people have to say. Because that happens too. We get to talking and people just want to hear the sound of their own voice. They don't want to listen. We got to start listening. We got to start hearing people. We're losing too many people, you guys, because we're not listening. When people are screaming out to the universe that they need help, okay, hey, listen, man, what a time to drive by. When people are screaming out to the universe that they need help, it's time we start listening and it's time that we start responding. It may feel like it's going to be rough for you to have that conversation, but sometimes just being there and lending an ear is helpful. Sometimes just being a soundboard for people is helpful. So be that if you can. You guys, I want you to remember that life is a series of choices. And you can choose to be kind, to be reflective, and to bring your best to the world. You can choose to wake up every day, put a smile on, and bring the best you that you can to the world. And even if that 100% is just 25% for you because that's all you can give, then just do that. But don't give up. If the most you got is a solid 25%, if the most you got is a solid 10%, 5, just put that in. And quit with the doubting in your ability to start making things happen. We all got to screw it up. We do. We got to screw it up. I'm going to look back on these podcasts a year from now, like I did with my music, and I'm going to see the gaps and the errors and the things that I was doing that are just kind of drawn out and trailed off and not focused. And I'm going to be able to hone those things in. And you guys have the ability to do that too. So whether it's your art, whether it's your work, whatever you're focused in on, whether it's a sport or a hobby or something, find things throughout your day-to-day that you can do that bring joy and happiness to yourself. You don't go to work 8, 10, 12 hours a day to come home and not live your life. We're getting screwed out of our lives by having to go to work all day and not focusing on the things that actually make us wake up in the morning. Some of you put down pencils and stopped drawing because you got busy. Some of you put down the paintbrush because you got busy. Some of you stopped playing the keys. Some of you stopped playing guitar. Some of you walked away from the things that meant the most to you because you got busy. Don't walk away from yourself to suit the needs of a place that would sooner have your job posted after you died than you would even get an obituary. We're giving our entire lives away to these places. Please, please, please analyze and be very cautious of who you're spending that time with and who you're giving that energy to. And don't forget about you. Self-love is important, not just because of the fact that you need to understand you, but self-love is important because you cannot love other people to your full capacity if you don't love yourself. I learned a long time ago about a model that draws a circle and it puts you directly in the middle, and you grade yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. And I'm going to leave you with this. You draw a circle and you put me, M-E, right in the middle. On a scale from 1 to 10, as a person and how you feel about you, overall, you grade yourself. And then, you're going to draw lines out all the way around in a bubble format, and you're going to put each of the relationships that you find to be the most important relationships in your life. And I want you to grade those out of 10. And I want you to look at this and analyze it really, because this is very important. If you have written a 10 in any circle on the outside, and you do not have a 10 in that center circle, you need to reevaluate, and you need to do some serious digging, shadow work, to find out how to bump that number up for yourself. We cannot pour out of an empty cup. We cannot give more than we have. And when we are stuck in a situation where we think less of ourselves and we're trying to give more to other people, it's unhealthy in our process of healing. We must find the way to make ourselves feel like a 10 so that we can give that to other people. You have to feel like 100% of you is good enough to give to other people. It's a rough process. It comes with lots of stages of learning and growth. It's not going to happen overnight. You can't just wake up tomorrow. It's not going to happen like that. But what will happen is over time, you're going to start to see that you're doing things to make you feel better about you. Because your happiness is paramount. It is important. It is most important. If you're not happy in your heart, you're never going to be enough for the relationships that you want to be in. And that requires serious work. So I leave you with the model. You draw a circle in the center. You rate yourself out of 10. You draw circles on the outside. You rate those out of 10. After that, you get the fuck to work. You get to work on dialing in you. Guys, Chattin with Chavez is going to be a learning experience for me, a learning experience for you, and a learning experience all the way around. I still got to figure out how not to hit my microphone every time I use my hands. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your ears. I appreciate you sitting and listening to what I have to say. I hope that in future episodes and in future parts of this podcast, we can delve deeper into how to fill that cup for ourselves so that we can start to grow and we can start to fill up those cups for other people. You guys, this is Chattin with Chavez. I love you endlessly, and I hope you have a stellar day.